Fruits are a little more difficult. When you look at fruits, a half a cup is fairly standard for most of the sweet fruits. If you're looking at peaches or at pears or at tangerines, they are a half a cup as a serving. So most of the sweet fruits are fairly simple. A half a cup is a serving. When you get to something like melons are so low in calories that it's a much larger slice. And so a serving is about a fourth of a large melon is a serving of melon. It's much larger than a half a cup. An apple, a medium small apple, about this size, 2 inches, is about what we're looking at when you're talking about a serving of apple. A banana, a whole banana is really 2. So you cut the banana in half. A half of a medium banana is 1 serving. If you eat a large banana, a whole large banana, it's probably 3 servings. Some of the very sweet fruits, then, you don't get much at all. You don't get a half a cup of prunes and dates. When you look at a serving of dates, it's only 4 dates. When you look at prunes, it's the same thing. 4 prunes is a serving. So fruit is a little more problematic. Sometimes you can put them in as whole fruits. You can put them in as a half of a piece of fruit. You have that option when you put it into the database. But for most of the fruits that we eat commonly, whether they're peaches, pears, tangerines, oranges, a half a cup is 1 serving. So fruit can be a little more difficult. Meats can get very difficult. When you talk about a 3-ounce serving of meat, it's about the size of the palm of your hand. If it's a piece of chicken, about that size, some people look at that as a deck of cards, as 1 serving. If you look at ground meats, again, about the size of the palm of your hand is a 3-ounce serving. It gets a little more difficult when you start shaving things because they get a little bit longer and hang out, but if you fold them over, look at the same thickness. Again, it's about the thickness and of the palm of your hand. They're about the same size. Cheese, most of the time you can put cheese in the database in ounces, and you can cut an ounce of cheese. Many times when you get processed cheese, it comes in a slice. So you can just pull off a slice of cheese, and that tells you on the package how much that is. Many times packaged foods, when you're looking at luncheon meats, prepared meats, it'll tell you how many slices is an ounce. So you'll know exactly how much you're getting when you're looking with things like bologna or turkey or even hot dogs. It lets you know exactly on the package. It's when you're using these kinds of fresh meats, it becomes a little more difficult. But 3 ounces is about the size of the palm of your hand. You can take your favorite meats, weigh out what you usually eat, so it gives you an idea of how much that is, and then you're able to put that into the database. One of the things that people forget most often are condiments. So if you look at condiments, really a pat of butter is about a teaspoon. And so if you take this pat of butter and you folded it up, it would fill up about 1 teaspoon. That is a serving, a teaspoon. But when you start putting condiments onto pieces of bread, sometimes it gets very difficult to know how much you're getting. So once again, you don't have to do this all the time, but you ought to do this once to find out how much you're getting. So if you put ketchup on a piece of bread, and you really have to like ketchup to eat that much ketchup, but you don't know how much you're getting. So for the first time, what you really need to do is to just take whatever condiment you're using and put it into a measuring spoon. Oops! And level it off. Find out how much this is when you level off this, and then put this amount onto a piece of bread and see what it turns out to be. So you take 1 tablespoon of ketchup and you spread this around on a piece. Now, if that's ketchup, that might be about right. If that's butter or if it's mayonnaise, that might be a lot more than you normally use. If it's peanut butter, most people would eat more peanut butter than that. Instead of 1 tablespoon, it might be 2. You might even have 3. So take your condiments that you have, whether it's ketchup or mustard, put it into a measuring spoon once. Put it onto the food to give you an idea of how much you're actually getting. Now, condiments like ketchup and mustard are one thing. Another kind of a condiment that people have a very difficult time guessing is a syrup. And so when you put syrup on, on something, most people just douse it. So when you put syrup on, it's usually not a little bit like that. But you can get an idea of a tablespoon of syrup. So if you take a tablespoon of syrup and you put it on a piece of bread, it gives you an idea. Now most people, when they have a stack of pancakes, don't just put a little bit of syrup. They put syrup all over the pancake. And so get an idea, take your pancakes once, put them on a plate. My guess is that if you have a stack of pancakes, it's not 1 tablespoon. It might be 2 tablespoons, might be 3 tablespoons, might be 4. So there's 1, and there's 2. And if some people, they like to even do that, and now it's all hidden, and it's gone, but it's still there. And so if you're one of those people that puts syrup on, under, and around, it would be easy to get up to 4 or 5 tablespoons worth of syrup. So if it says 1 serving, you can't just look at a package. That hasn't even flowed off the top yet. When you look at the package and it tells you that 1 serving is a tablespoon, then you have to determine how many tablespoons you really have. So much of what we're talking about when we talk about portion size, understanding how much you're eating, a lot of it you can get off the package. If it's a packaged food, you can see exactly how much you're getting, 1 slice, 1 piece. But then if it's a bowl of cereal and you're having to portion it out, you need to have an idea of how much each one of the containers you normally use contains.